Just this tail. Right at the... Hey, don't eat the microphone stand. Hello, friends, and welcome to Figure Study, where it is finally time. We're finally taking a look at Tobot v. Big Trail and Troll, also known as Big Troll. And we're kicking things off with their absolutely horrible combined vehicle mode, because I just want to get this terrible, stupid thing out of the way. So here we have Big Trail towing Troll, and Troll looks like he just kind of rear-ended Big Trail and broke apart a little bit and got stuck, and it's horrible. It does a really bad job of hiding the cabs. You've got the little visible robot head there. It's just dumb, so I'm gonna change this back to regular vehicles. And seeing as how this is Tobots, let's just go through the process. It's very simple, at least, so it doesn't take too much to undo this terrible mess. So we want to unclip Troll from Big Trail here. There are these clips that pop down here that will clip in right here. Push those back in, and then just going to slide this forward temporarily so we can accordion this back. This will lock down into place. And the reason we pulled this forward is because there are actually pegs here that clip in to the insides of these little vent-looking things here. And that makes this a nice, solid vehicle mode. So, there is Troll. Big Trail is much more complicated. You have to flip these in, and you're done. Alright, let me readjust. Okay, now that that's out of the way, I feel much better. And here we have properly Big Trail and Troll in their vehicle modes. And these are some really awesome vehicle modes. I will front load this video, and I've said this in other Tobot videos as well, but I will front load this video as saying these two, as a set, as a combiner, are my favorite Tobot toy in existence. Of the ones that I've had. I mean, there might be others that I like better if I were to get my hands on them, but I highly doubt that. These two for me are a complete package, and they look awesome in every single mode except for that stupid combined vehicle mode, which I really consider more of a unnecessary bonus than anything else. But like vehicle modes, robot combined modes, all fantastic. As for what they are, Big Trail is some kind of an enormous beefed up semi-truck, which looks really cool. And Troll is Age of Extinction Hound, only cool looking. Yeah, I don't really know what Troll's truck is supposed to be. As I've said in other Tobot videos, I don't really watch the show, so I don't know any of the background on these guys, but they both look cool. And I am being serious. Like, I'm joking, but I am being serious in that Troll totally has an Age of Extinction Hound vehicle mode vibe, but like, if Hound's vehicle mode were actually cool looking and possibly run through some kind of super robot anime filter. In terms of extra stuff that I kind of wish wasn't there, because these are part of the Tobot V line, they do come with Tokis, and their Tokis, like, there are things I like about the Tokis. Things that I don't like about the Tokis is there's no place for them to officially store in vehicle modes. So if you transform them into vehicle modes, that's what you do with them. I hate that so much. Like, yeah, you could put Troll's Toki, like, just kind of balance it up here, but that's not official. That's just very loosely balanced, and Big Trails can kind of nestle back there, and that's a little bit more balanced, but it's still not actually locking in anywhere. I just don't understand why. Like, Tank Guy and Great Admiral, they had places for their Tokis to go in all of their modes. And they're part of the same line. And I'm pretty sure they came out before these. Why can't you lock the Tokis in anywhere in vehicle mode for these guys? All things considered, yes, it's a small nitpick in the grand scheme of things. But it still bugs the crap out of me. But anyway, Let's get the Toki looking at out of the way first. So looking at Troll's Toki, it's this big kind of elephant head. And this is something that is actually kind of clever, but I didn't notice it at first. And that is that if you hold it this way and if you squint and look closely, you can kind of see that it's actually an elephant. Like, if you look at it as this is the elephant's trunk and then it kind of arcs all the way back, there's the head. You can see there's like a little ear and a little tiny eye right there that kind of make it look like a tiny robot elephant with enormous tusks. And that's a neat idea. I still wish this thing had somewhere to go in vehicle mode, but that's actually a pretty clever idea. I do think, though, that eye could use a little bit of paint to make it actually stand out as an eye, because at first I did not know what this was meant to be when it wasn't being integrated into any of the other modes, because it was just kind of like a lump of elephant head, which you can kind of see a little bit better if you do it that way, but it's not bad. All right, so him down, move on to Big Trail's Toki. And Big Trail's Toki is like this big buffalo thing, and much like Troll's, it's kind of weird, and if you squint and look at it a certain way, you can kind of see what they're going for, which is, if you look at it this way, like this, obviously buffalo head, but if you look at it like this way, and if you remember that this is a thing that flips down, even though it's really tiny and easy to miss, if you look at it like this, you've got back legs, the body, forelegs with little hoof shapes right there, and then a head with little bitty horns, big horns off the shoulders, and there's the tiniest little buffalo bison face molded in here with the eyes actually painted. So, like, they painted the eyes here. Why didn't they paint them on Troll? But yeah, his Toki is basically like a tiny buffalo bison animal. And that's actually kind of neat. It's kind of fun. I think of the two Tokis, Big Trail's is probably the better looking because it's a bit more obvious what it is. Whereas with the Trolls, it's kind of a big lump, and you really have to look hard to see those extra details. At least they're going for a theme, I guess. As for the vehicle modes proper, they do look fantastic. Now I'm already several minutes into this. Okay, I need to speed things up. I don't want this to be like an hour-long video. So yeah, the vehicles look great. Big Trail is primarily black, and this weird kind of grayish white. I'm not a huge fan of this. I kind of wish that this was like a brighter white, kind of like the paint apps that they've got going here. Because you could definitely see the difference between tones when you look at them side by side. It's just a little bit strange. I mean, it's fine. It doesn't, like, really ruin anything. It's just it looks a little bit off to me. But there is some nice detail throughout here, like molded and otherwise. They did that great thing that I love where they do, like, different color plastics to add color and detail in a lot of places. There is still paint, but it's very cool. It's got this enormous maximum overdrive grill that looks like it would just demolish anything it hits. And then the nice translucent headlights. There is the translucent windows, which I'm not a huge fan of, just because, like, here it's fine because it's dark enough that it doesn't really, you don't see much in the way of, like, robot bits on the inside, but it's just not, it doesn't stand out. This shade of blue, it doesn't quite work. The windows just kind of look dull and lifeless. I kind of wish that this was brighter. But again, nice detailing throughout. The painted rims, some actual molding on the wheels or tires, and this nice kind of mechanical pipe detailing going along the back here with taillights and a rear fender painted in. So yeah, lots of nice detailing on Big Trail. And I just loved how dense and don't mess with me that truck looks. Troll is in a similar vein, but I actually kind of like Troll's vehicle mode. I can't necessarily say I like it better. I like the coloring better because it's just a bit brighter. It makes a lot of the details stand out more. Like Big Trail does have lots of molded detail, but you don't see it as easily because it's mostly done in black plastic. But with Troll, it's in this lighter green plastic, which makes it much easier to see, and did the opaque black plastic for the windows, which contrasts so much better and stands out so much better. Lots of painted lights in front, which Age of Extinction Hound didn't do that. The back is kind of like, what even is this? But, you know, the detailing's nice. Not really much to say back here, though. It's kind of just a big void, and I don't really understand. Like, you can, if you wanted to, pull these down a bit to just kind of add extra detail, I guess. I don't know. You could pretend it's a cement mixer and that's what it does to dump stuff out. I really don't know. But it's a good looking truck. And as far as colors go, I think they both do a really good job with the palettes that they use. I do still wish that Big Trail had like a brighter white, but not a huge problem. On the topic of huge, these guys are Tobots, so they're huge. There you can see them absolutely dwarfing a deluxe transformer, as well as dwarfing the duck tank. Not so much dwarfing other Tobots, though. Terrical kind of looks enormous if you want to imagine like the drivers for these different vehicles. Yeah, Terrical looks kind of huge compared to these other two vehicles, but is roughly the same mass-wise, I think, at least in Troll's case. And that is it for size comparisons. So let's move right along to transformation. Who do I want to start with? Oh, let's start with Big Trail. So, Troll, you can just wait off to the side here and bringing in Big Trail. All right, so it's going to be flipping these panels up on both sides, and that reveals some new detail there. Going to straighten out these bits here and split what will become the legs and rotate them around like so that this detail is facing the same direction as this bit. And need to readjust. All right, so I want to pull up the arms. And the reason you want to pull them up is the fists actually go over these bits here. And that kind of locks things in place for the moving the shoulders out. So you want to be sure to lift those arms up. Then split the front. And that will allow you to pull the shoulders out and down. Give them a rotation. And this is something I probably should have done before when both halves were together, but you can actually pull this bit up and hinge it forward on a double hinge. Then fold this back just to kind of clean up the shoulder a bit. Same deal here, rotate it down, double hinge that forward, and close that up. And you can kind of leave it stock. What I prefer to do is bring the shoulders up one click and bring them back one click, because I think that just looks a little bit more dynamic when at rest. And we bring in the Toki, fold up the back legs, fold down the front here, and this will plug in right here with these clips. But one thing you want to be sure of is there's this little tab here that will go slide into this lip up here. So you want to kind of make sure to line that up first and then clip it in. And this, the I guess rings for the face of the bison head, will line up with these bits that the hands are holding onto in truck mode. And there we have Big Trail in robot mode, and we'll take a look at him in more detail in a minute, because we still have to get through Troll, and Troll is a bit more involved because there's a bit more parts forming. Come on, why don't you disconnect? Ah, it holds so snug. There we go. So you want to pop that out so that you can pop these off and split the legs. You can see there's a split here. You want to pull the front section of what'll become the foot up until it clicks into place, and then fold back the heel. And the same thing on this side. And we'll do these next. So split what will become the arms. I'm going to fold out this peg here, You don't have to do anything up here, because if you look at it here, you can see there's actually a fist there already. You don't have to mess with that. All you do is pull this out, and then just give it like a couple of bends, just to show a little bit more that it's an arm, rather than have it be like this static column thing. So there we go. There we've got 2 arms. And to finish this off, we want to split the bumper, fold these wheels forward, and these bits that were covering the front bumper will actually fold down. And that will reveal peg holes that these can peg into. So clip that in, and that in. Just rotate those back a little bit. Almost done. So take the Toki and rotate the tusks so that they're all the way back. And this got pegs, posts, whatever there that'll clip in right there. Let's just line that up, clip it in. And this is cool too. I like how that trunk kind of lines up with the detailing in the waist, which we'll see more in a minute. And lastly, pop up the truck section here, slide that up. And the easiest way to do this is pop this back just a little bit, and that will give you the the ability to reach the head and slide it forward, and then just pop that back into place. And when the head is slid forward, this backpack is not, like, this isn't going anywhere. This will not go back down because that head is locking that in place. And there we have Troll. And let me bring Big Trail back in here, and we can readjust and get back to business. This all gets so much harder to do when it gets really warm out. Anyway, here we've got Big Trail and Troll in their robot modes, and this is awesome. Again, as a set, this is my absolute favorite Tobot toy in existence. But as standalone figures, these guys are pretty freaking awesome too. Even without the combining element, either one of these guys is really cool. My personal preference is Troll over Big Trail because I just really like his kind of stocky, brutish frame and his kind of, I don't know, he looks like a weightlifting garbage truck in a good way, if that makes any kind of sense. I love the proportions on Troll and how he's just so dense, these enormous arms. He's built, it's silly, but he's built like a truck. I mean, we'll look at the detail in a bit to go into that more, but yeah, he's really cool. And the coloring on Troll, really good too. Green, orange, red, white, it works well. Big Trail is no slouch though, don't get me wrong. Big Trail is awesome on his own. The only reason I'm not saying that Big Trail is the most awesome figure in the frame right now is because Troll's there. Big Trail does look very cool. He's a very well-proportioned humanoid robot with like slightly big stunky boots, but not overly sized, and big shoulders, which, you know, I love those big shoulders. And I love that, like, his shoulders are just halves of a truck cab, like an entire truck cab. He's also got a bit more posability to him than Troll, which I guess I might go over in a little bit. I might go over a little bit. Big Trail's color scheme is interesting because it's primarily black and white, which is not, like, black and white always goes well together, but it's usually less visually interesting than something more colorful. But his color scheme I find a bit more striking than Troll's because that yellow pops so hard against the black and the white, or black and slightly off-white. All right, bringing in Big Trail a little bit closer, one of the things that I think is kind of fun here is the way his feet are done. They kind of look like hooves, which ties into the bison thing, so that's kind of neat. And the color separation, again, is very nice. Lots and lots of little details here and there that are actually picked out in color, like just the yellow and white up there and the black. Like, they didn't have to paint all of this little stuff there, but they totally did, and that looks great. Little plastic molded bits on the sides there, onto the waist, and that big fancy bison head thing, which does look cool as a chest plate. It absolutely looks cool, and I like how the horns come up and both kind of mask the shoulder joints and just add a little bit of color in there. And as I said, he's got these enormous halves of a truck cab for shoulders, which is just fantastic. And the arms, they're surprisingly clean, considering. And from the back, it's a very clean transformation. There's really nothing there. It's like these shoulders come out a little bit, but that's it. It's always amazing to me how Tobots can be surprisingly simple, but also extremely effective and clean in their transformations. As for the head, I'm not entirely sure what this is meant to be homaging, but I think the shape is cool. I like how it kind of juts forward and then comes back in and then juts forward again. I can't quite tell if that's supposed to be a beard or not, but it works. And I like the color separation here. How you've got the black with like the white stripes on the top of the head and the white plus yellow bits for the ears. And then the face, that white stands out really nicely. The eyes are a little bit, the light blue blends in a little bit with the white, but not too terribly. They still read his eyes. I like the fact that he can turn his head too. That's something that that's something that Troll can't do. But in terms of posability, which I said I would get into, he's got like the standard, knees forward, backward, in, out. And the legs, like that's it for the legs. No waist rotation because of the other transformation, but head rotation. It's the shoulders that I really like about his articulation because he's got like the up and down, forward and backward, but he also has that little bit of outward motion. And that just adds a little bit more dynamicness to everything. And he has the elbows, and this can go back. No bicep rotation, but that's fine. Given the fact that his arms can move out this way, that totally is fine. And I guess technically you could use this as like a pseudo thigh rotation, just kind of cheat the ratchets. All right, so that is Big Trail. On to Troll. Troll's detailing is also great, and like I said in vehicle mode, since he's a lighter plastic, his sculpted details show up a bit better. And I really like what they've done here with like the red knee spikes, the green on the thighs to just bring a little bit more color cohesiveness into everything. The waist is a little bit weirdly shaped, but it looks cool. And the arms are like these big, beefy pylons, which are just cool looking. And I like this orange detailing, how it kind of goes in and down and kind of follows the same line all the way along the inside there. The torso, I really like. I think the wheels popping forward is cool, but as I said during the transformation, I really, really love how the trunk for the Toki merges with the shape of the torso. Like if I pop this off, you can see there's like this little bit here that's just designed for the trunk to rest there. So when you clip it in, there's like that little bit and it just sits right in there and just completes that line very nicely. Having the tusks come up to kind of go over the shoulders slightly is also pretty cool. I also really like the head. There's even more color separation and detailing going on here than there was in Big Trails, where you've got this big block of green, but then the black stripe, the little black details along the sides, the little orange details, the face that's both silver-ish. Actually, that's not silver, that's white. That's white and black along the outside to kind of define it a little bit better, and the light blue eyes, which again, kind of blends in with the white a little bit, but not terrible. It's got this kind of vaguely Egyptian look to it. I don't know if that's intentional or what, but like the shape just kind of makes me think of a pharaoh headdress. That might also be because I did the video for turning mech card Gryphinx last week, and Sphinx had that kind of motif going. But anyway, it looks great. It's also, I keep saying also, but again, it's kind of cool also how when you put the Toki in, these orange lines around the chest actually end up making it look like elephant ears, which sort of add to the detailing of the elephant head. I don't know, it's just a neat little detail that kind of blends everything together really well. And the back, he's also extremely clean in terms of transformation. Like he's got this little bit on his back that barely sticks out at all. It kind of works as like a hunch, but he's a troll, so he's going to have a hunch. It makes sense. And I like his feet. I think his feet are fun because they're like not typical. They're just these big blocks that stick out a little ways, and then he's got heels. I like that atypicalness. All right, you get back here, and let's spread you out a little bit more so we can move on to size comparisons because, ooh, this is already running long. As you'd expect, seeing as how they are Tobots, they definitely dwarf a typical Transformers Deluxe. They're big bots. That's just kind of what this line does for the most part. And here they are with the duck tank. And lastly, here they are with Terrical. And yeah, surprisingly enough, they are a little bit smaller than a typical, well, not typical, they are a little bit smaller than an older Tobot. That being said, while they're a little bit smaller, they've got way more going on in terms of paint and detailing and mechanical stuff. So, can't really complain. Still love Terrical though. I am not trying to downplay Terrical at all. Terrical is awesome. Anyway, moving on to the combine mode. Where do we want to start? Well, I guess we started with Big Trail last time, so we'll start with Troll this time. Let's get you out of the way and move things up a little bit and then bring you in proper. So, going to rip his arms off. And the arms actually do a little bit of transforming. So I want to fold the peg back in, straighten this out, collapse it back down, and then this bit here will actually pull out a little bit, which will give him a little bit of stability, a little bit of a heal in the combine mode. And the fist, you reach back here, pull this down, and flip it around, and that will give him a toe. And do the same thing here. Fold that in, straighten that out, push that in, flip that out, and flip this around. And there we've got 2 legs and feet, and those will just go off to the side. And now we'll fold his feet in, so collapse that in and flip the heel back around. And then comes the joint that I never knew existed until I had this thing for over a day and was like, wait a minute. You push the little knee pad here, and that will actually disengage a lock that allows you to slide the leg up, and then that'll lock into place. And that shortens the legs so it'll be more proportional for the combine mode. When I first got this guy, I had them extended, and he looked kind of weird and overly long legs, and he was a little bit wobbly. So this just stabilizes everything pretty well. Then rotate the waist around like so. And then going to rip off the Toki, push the head in, and slide the backpack down. And that is that. I'm going to take the Toki and flip the trunk all the way up. Bring up the tusks, not all the way forward. Going to kind of have them just part way, like so. And that will make a helmet. And we bring in the legs, and they will clip in like so. You want the toes and that cut kind of with the appropriate side, so you can kind of see how this is going to go. Clip that in, and clip that in, and there we have a large body with nothing else kind of going for it. So we're just going to move that off to the side and bring back Big Trail, and going to rip out Big Trail's Toki. Not going to do anything to this, just put that off to the side. And then, let's do it. We're going to rip Big Trail in half, completely in half. Fold down a little peg here, and rotate it around so that the robot mode is facing backwards. Open up this door that was closing off the shoulder, and rotate this back up. You're basically going partially back into truck mode. I want to pull this back down. Bring this back down, and here you can see where the fist goes over this little bit here, like so. And that is going to be an arm. Last thing to do is rotate this so that the giant robot fist is facing forward. Same thing on the other side. So have the robot face backwards, open that up, rotate that down, bring all that in, hinge this back to lock in place, lock that in place, rotate the fist, and then do that, and make sure to flip down the little peg. And now we bring back Troll's missing body parts body and readjust so that I can see what I'm doing. And these will now peg where Troll's arms pegged in. So that just goes in there and in there, like so. Then Big Trail's Toki will actually plug in here. You can see there are 2 extra clips that weren't used in the in Troll's robot mode. So just bring that in and clip that in place. And lastly, we take Troll's Toki, and the posts here will clip into these clips right above the shoulders. And this will go over Big Trail's head and form a helmet. And there we have Big Troll all combined up. And I need to move the camera. Alright, there's no conceivable way that I can get this entire guy in frame without completely destroying the backdrop. So, just to give you the briefest of senses of what this guy looks like in his entirety, without anything being cut off, there you go. He is quite large, especially when you factor in those shoulders. Not the largest figure that I have. Not the largest figure that I have by a long shot, really. But we'll discuss that at another time. But he is very, very big. And this is cool. I really like this. I think it's neat how they distributed the color here, how the greens and oranges and reds of Troll are primarily in the legs and lower body, with a little bit in the head, and then the black and white-ish and yellow of Big Trail is primarily in the torso and the arms. There's a little bit of that color here and there in other spots, like the orange in the torso, but it's a really interesting way that they separated out the color. Proportionally, he's a little bit lanky, but in a way that I think is really cool. Like the arms especially are a little bit lanky, but that's fine. The only thing that really bums me out about the arms is the fact that they have these screws right there. I mean, I know like it was either that or have them facing forward in the individual robot mode, so I get that. I just kind of wish that either they maybe painted the screws to try and mask them a bit better, or used screws that weren't a stark contrast to the plastic around them, because those screws stand out a lot. But yes, this guy is so cool, and you can see shades of that kind of bovine design in a couple of different spots, not just in the chest and the fact that he's got horns in his helmet, but like the feet also have kind of a hoof design, just like Big Trail. Well, not just like Big Trail, but similar to what Big Trail had. This guy looks both powerful and like he can actually move, and he can actually move. His posability is surprisingly on point. He's got the same exact posability of Big Trail's legs, only now it's the arms, so he's got the forward, backward, in, out, elbow bend, which used to be a knee, and then wrist rotation or forearm rotation if you count the bits in the, used for transformation, which totally works because the ratchets, they're pretty hefty, but they're also easy to cheat because they work in like 90-degree intervals. The waist does rotate. You can cheat that ratchet as well, and it only has like the 2 positions, so that one's pretty darn easy to cheat, actually. Troll's hips do the same thing where it's like in, out, forward, backward, and then those little bits that I was showing in Troll's truck mode that fold down actually are the combined mode knees. You don't get a lot of range, but you do get some, and it's enough to actually get some surprisingly dynamic poses. And there you can see the waist rotation and the rotation there. You can even cheat the head a little bit. With the helmet in place, it's clipped in place, it's not going to move, but if you disengage the helmet, you can actually still turn Big Trail's head, and you can just kind of rest the helmet on top, and that works as a head rotation. It also works for things like if you want him to look down. So you can do that. That's pretty cool. It's probably the most posable... Well, it's definitely the most posable Tobot combiner I've encountered. It might not be the most posable, but it's definitely, as I said, the most posable I've encountered. Detail-wise, it's pretty much the same, except now what were the arms for Troll are the feet, with these kind of cloven hoof-looking toes. The backs of Troll's legs are now the thighs, and that brings way more of that orange, green, and red, and black into the mix, especially because you've got the tops of the wheel wells here that kind of blend with the larger lower legs here. And the front, you do have these hip skirts that can move out of the way for moving forward a bit. And a lot of the same detail again with Troll's torso. Only now, instead of an elephant head, you've got a buffalo or bull or bison or whatever head. Big arms, which are cool because like each arm is basically a truck half. They're basically nothing. Each arm is literally half of a truck, where you've got the entire truck cab for a shoulder, and then the entire back of the truck for the actual arm. And one thing too that I like about this guy is you can actually vary up, like you can fan mode him a little bit, not just in terms of posability, but with the shoulders. If you wanted to, you could actually disengage the arm, which would allow you to pull the shoulder out. Not like that, not the arm. Don't pull the arm out. Get back in. There we go. So you can pull the shoulder out, just the shoulder, and then push this back in, and you can essentially make his shoulders look a little bit beefier. And you can even fold this bit in to kind of cover up that gap a little bit. So if you wanted, you could give him the beefier shoulder look or slimmer shoulder look. And I love that you've got those options. It's very cool. My default lately has just been, the default, because it's a little bit more compact, a little bit easier, but I really like that option. I really, really love Big Troll. And as you'd expect, given the name, he is, in fact, big. You like that segue? So, as I'm sure you expected, when combined, Big Troll ends up being absolutely massive next to a Transformers Deluxe. And of course, he's also massive next to the Duck Tank. And he's even massive next to a standard-ish old-school Tobot. He's, Terrical comes up to, like his waist? Something like that. A little bit above his waist. And because why the heck not, here's Big Troll with Master V with his little booties on. So you can see they're about head-to-head when Master V is combined with two other robots. So he's big. He's a big guy. A big troll, if you will. And that is going to do it for Tobot v Big Troll. Let's get you a little bit more centered. There you go. Yeah, that is going to do it for Big Troll. Big Troll is amazing. As I've already said, this is, by all accounts, by which I mean my own accounts, without a doubt in my mind, my favorite Tobot set. I still think as a single standalone, Terrical is probably my favorite Tobot, but in terms of like Tobot toys over the broad range of everything Tobot that I've either seen or gotten my hands on, Big Troll is my favorite. This is an amazing set. Looks fantastic in combined mode, looks fantastic in the individual vehicle modes, looks fantastic in the individual robot modes. You really can't go wrong. And he's shockingly posable in combined mode, and like the individual robot modes are no slouch either. The only real gripes I have, like I said, is the fact that the off-white is not a brighter white for Big Trail, and the fact that the Tokis don't have a place to store in the vehicle modes. That really does seem like an oversight to me, particularly because Tank Guy and Great... Yes, thank you, honey. Particularly because Tank Guy and Great Admiral already stored the Tokis in their vehicle modes, and they came out before Big Trail and Troll did, so I don't understand why they couldn't have done that this time. But all things considered, it's kind of a minor... Well, I mean, it is a minor gripe. It's a shame that they didn't make that a bit more consistent. But whatever. Small price to pay for so much awesome. But that's enough about what I think of Tobot v Big Troll. What do you all think of this guy? Astrid seems pretty fond. Right, honey? She's still on my lap. This is awkward. Any of you out there who are into the Tobot line, is this something that just doesn't do it for you because of the fact that it's a bit more complex than the typical Tobots, or because it aesthetically doesn't really fit? Do you like or dislike the colors? How do you feel about the individual bot modes? And I know posability is usually not important with Tobots, but I think it is really cool that this guy's actually quite posable. Oh boy. She put her tail in my mouth. Whatever your thoughts, please feel free to chime in down below. I always enjoy hearing from you all. And while you're at it, also feel free to like, subscribe, or if you're feeling generous, you can also buy me a coffee. The link for that will also be in the description. Any of those things would make me a happy Rob. And remember, art is more than meets the eye.